I'm feeling a total and utter betrayal of our country's men and women, of families, of hard-working British public who have been absolutely betrayed by a government who are intent on destroying and silencing.
Tommy Robinson fires back at KEIR STARMER. A tense exchange sparks new concerns. All right, you're not going to believe what just unfolded today. Because while most people were scrolling through the usual political noise, something a lot more dramatic, a lot more tense, was happening in the background, and it involved Tommy Robinson, KEIR STARMER, and a clash that's already sending shockwaves across social media. This wasn't a quiet disagreement. This wasn't one of those polite political jabs that get buried by the next headline. No, this was personal, sharp, and unmistakably direct. And today, Tommy Robinson fired back again with a tone that made people stop mid-scroll. It happened quickly. Almost suddenly. One moment, STARMER's team was responding to criticism. The next, Robinson released a video that instantly ignited every corner of TikTok, YouTube, Telegram, and Twitter. People are saying, "Wait, what did I just hear? Is this the beginning of something bigger?" And the truth is it might be. Let's break down exactly what happened, because the timing, the reactions, and the tone of today's exchange are raising more questions than answers. Earlier today, KEIR STARMER appeared in a short press clip addressing what he called deliberate misinformation being spread by certain commentators. He didn't name anyone directly, but it didn't take long for people to connect the dots. Within minutes, political watchers were saying, "He's talking about Tommy Robinson. He must be referring to that comment from yesterday." And whether he meant to or not, the implication was clear enough for Robinson, who responded almost immediately. Robinson's video dropped like a hammer. No dramatic music. No polished studio background. Just him, speaking directly into the camera with that trademark intensity that his supporters always point to as his strength. He pushed back on STARMER's remarks, insisting that his criticisms were based on personal beliefs, past statements, and policy consequences, not on anything fabricated or malicious. His tone wasn't explosive, but it was sharp, firm, and unmistakably defiant. He said publicly that political leaders should be willing to face criticism, even harsh criticism, when their decisions affect millions of people. And he suggested that attempts to frame his commentary as misinformation were simply attempts to shut down debate. And that is where everything took off. Reactions poured in from all sides. Some people applauded Robinson for standing his ground, saying the public has a right to challenge political leadership without being dismissed. Others argued that STARMER has every right to defend himself against what he sees as unfair criticism. One political commentator wrote, "This is exactly the clash you get when a strong-willed figure goes up against a calculated, formal political leader. Neither wants to back down." Another journalist posted, "The tension isn't about the words, it's about who controls the narrative." And if you scroll through social media right now, you'll see a split audience. Some are saying Robinson has a point. Others insist STARMER is simply protecting himself and the party from what they view as exaggerated commentary. But almost everyone agrees on one thing. The atmosphere around this story is getting heavier by the day. Even within labor circles, the vibe is uneasy. One insider was reportedly overheard saying to a local reporter, "This could flare up again. And the longer it continues, the harder it gets to manage." People are watching for a reason, because this isn't just about two individuals. It's about the tension between political authority and public criticism, between formal power and outsider commentary, between establishment messaging and the voices that operate completely outside the traditional system. When Robinson speaks, whether people agree or disagree with him, it sparks movement. When STARMER responds, even indirectly, it validates that movement. And when both sides feel they're being misrepresented, the temperature rises fast. What makes today's clash even more intense is the timing. STARMER is dealing with internal pressures, external criticism, policy expectations, and an increasingly divided base. Robinson, meanwhile, has been gaining traction on social platforms where political conversations are raw, fast, and unfiltered. So when the two worlds collide, the polished political sphere and the chaotic digital arena, you end up with exactly what we saw today. The public reaction is telling. Comments are flooding in like, "Why is this blowing up now?" STARMER should address the actual issues. Robinson is pushing back harder every time. Something bigger is going on behind the scenes. And honestly, people aren't wrong to wonder. Because moments like this don't happen randomly. Political communication isn't accidental. Public responses aren't accidental either. Everyone involved knows the weight of their words, especially now, when every clip becomes a headline within minutes. The question hanging in the air tonight is simple, but heavy. Where does this go next? Does Starmer respond again more directly this time? Does Robinson escalate further? Do insiders start leaking more context? Does the public split even deeper, or does something unexpected happen that shifts everything again? What we saw today wasn't just a one-off exchange. It was the latest chapter in a growing, increasingly public tension that shows no signs of slowing down. And if this is where things stand today, where will things be a week from now? A month from now? Because every political observer watching this story unfold is saying the same thing. If this is just the beginning, the real story hasn't even started yet. One thing is certain: the next move, whether it comes from Starmer, from Robinson, or from somewhere entirely unexpected, may set the tone for everything that follows. Stay tuned, because this tension, it isn't cooling off anytime soon.